Greetings, family. I had a thought about how we could make a difference when we come to the continent. You'll hear people talk about setting up, um, I think they call them NFOs or NFTs, like a sort of like a nonprofit, or opening businesses. But there are little things we can do. Like, not everyone is going to open a business. Some people are retired and they may not want to really get involved to that extent. But I've found some little ways that I've discovered that we can change people's lives. And I remember thinking about Puma Jones. She did one of her Instagram posts. It might have been a live where she talked about working with a brother to create hats. She's a designer, she's an artist, so many things. Public personality for the Gambia, but she talked about working with this brother who's a basket weaver and him being able to like put his children through school as a result of their partnership. And one of the things that stood out to me about that was sometimes we don't look at the bigger picture, right? But there's a little thing you can do that could change someone's life for like generations, changing lives, not just a life. And that's pretty much how it's been for me in the Gambia. Yes, I have plans to open businesses. Still on the line about whether I want to build or not. I pretty much would rather find something that's already in place and build on that. Still on a line on the fence about whether I even want to buy property. Like, that's not really what I came here for. It was really about businesses and being able to experience Africa. And I didn't really want to be tied down to anything. But what's happened is this. I came in contact with um, a young man when I would go into the place where I was staying previously. He worked for the people next door. He would always greet me, really polite. Um, One day we were just talking, and I asked him, like, what was he still in school? What were his interests? He told me that he was a graphic artist. And I thought that was so cool. So I figured, well, in the States, when you see someone working as a security guard, but they're really going to school for someone else or they have a degree in something else, it's usually because they can't find employment or they're doing it for extra money. But he basically told me he was working as a security guard. He wasn't happy doing that, but he had to work. And I looked at him and I thought, I know so many people that are amazing artists. I know people that have art galleries. I know people that work with some major studios who might need graphic artists. And what I did was I said, well, if you don't mind, send me some of your stuff. Let me see what you have. And I gave him my phone number. I told him my Instagram tag, and he sent me some of his work. And I then forwarded that work to my people. And as a result of that connection, sister from the art gallery is interested in working with him. Another sister is interested in working with him that's coming to the continent, that's starting a program. And he was able to get some constructive criticism from someone else I talked about. So, it's just a blessing when we use our contacts to help other people. Like, I have a Rolodex in my mind of people that I know, and as soon as someone says something, immediately my mind works that we need to connect, right? So the other experience I had was, once again, I was staying someplace that I wasn't, exactly pleased with, but I knew it was temporary. And I met some really nice people that worked there, just really pleasant people, people with good hearts. And in meeting them, I realized that they were people who just were pleasant, like good spirits. They asked to exchange numbers, and I said sure, because I knew I wasn't going to be living there, very long. And they said, well, if you have any opportunities, please think of me. So it never occurred to me that they wouldn't still work where they were. I just assumed that they wanted to make extra money and I was able to assist them with that. No problem. So one person, when I left, basically was like, listen, I can cook, I can clean, I can do whatever you need. And I'm like, I don't have people cook and clean for me. I'm good. I really don't like people in my space. And we talked a little more. And as I talked to her, I realized that I didn't have a washing machine in my new space. And so the sister said to me, well, what I need to be able to pay my son's school fees. So I said, if you're telling me that if I hire you to wash my laundry once a week, that would pay your son's school fees, then you're hired. Like, let's do it. As a result of that, she made me realize that I needed her more than I thought. She came to my space, and the sister was wiping down windowsills, and she cleared up my counter space when I wasn't feeling well, and just little things that were so helpful. She even says to me, you have to get a bowl, you have to get a pot, and how you gonna cook without spoons? And you need cups, and all these little things. And in my mind, I know I'm shipping stuff, so I really didn't want to buy a lot, but she was absolutely right. Like I needed some little things that I didn't have. And she brought that to my attention. And so she came to work that day. We spent the day together. We went and bought cleaning supplies. And then I was like, please go home. You don't need to stay here. You were here most of the day. The day's almost over. Anyway, head home. And she was so shocked that I was telling her to head home. And I was like, I don't look at you like you're my maid, like you're my assistant. Let's put it like that. But she's like, no, you're my sister. Gonna make sure you have what you need. And it's been such a blessing, to have her around. Really sweet. The second day that she came to work, she came on a Thursday and then she came on a Monday. And it just so happened that she was here and I had to run out to take care of some errands. And when she came through the door, she brought me black soap. She brought me sponges, a towel, a bowl to put my fruit in, another pot, just a big spoon, a sharp knife. She was like, you need these things. And I know these are things she took from her home and she purchased. And I told her, listen, give me the receipt. Let me reimburse you. She didn't want me to do that, but I made sure I reimbursed her and I paid her for the day, which is different for her because she's used to getting paid once a month, which I think is so unfair. I don't know how. I've had jobs where I got paid once a month and I hated it because your bills fluctuate, and I know what the company I worked for, your check would fluctuate based on how the insurance company paid them. So one time your check might be, I don't know, 500. The next time your check might be 1,500. But it wasn't consistent, and I hated it. So I prefer to get paid on a weekly basis because at least I have something in my pocket. So we agreed on a rate. I pay her when she comes in, one day a week. And when she came in, she happened to meet my neighbors, and now my neighbors also want to hire her. As a result of me talking about her, another couple that cooks wants to hire her, like on Saturdays. And then I have a girlfriend that has a real estate company that wants to hire her to do jobs to clean the properties. And so I ended up sitting down with the sister and talking to her about like, you do realize that you're going to have to start a maid service because there's no way you can handle all these jobs. You are about to be a business owner. And she was like, what? I was like, yeah, you can't do all this work by yourself. Now is the time where you get to train people and give them an opportunity to do what you're doing. You're going to play it forward. And she's just so thankful and so blessed. And I'm hoping she will stay with me as long as she can. But if she can't, I completely understand. She may have her select customers that she'll maintain, but then she'll be able to start a business. And that's really what it's about. When someone comes to assist you with a project or to work with you, it shouldn't be about you trying to keep them in their place or not see them progress. It should be about you adding to their life, you seeing them improve. And that's what this journey is about for me. It is my gift to connect people. So me coming to the continent is just to do that, connect people and see their lives improve. I like to believe that when someone comes in contact with me, their life is never the same again because I have added value to their life. And I expect that from other people. If folks are not adding value to my life, then guess what? You don't need to be in my life. It's okay. Don't go waste someone else's time. Go take up space somewhere else, being useless, but not in my life. Um, that's the second person. We talked about the young man. We talked about the sister. So the day that I was coming to look at this apartment, I bumped into an individual who he was driving, just happened to be driving that day. He was like, listen, I'm not really like a driver locally, but I just thought I'd come out, try to make a little change. I usually drive for tourists. And I said, well, I'm trying to get to turntable because I have an interview for an apartment. He said, well, I could take you, but I don't really know what the rate is. I said, well, it's 10 Dalasi for the local, but if you're a regular cab, it's a little more. He said, well, I don't know about this 10 Dalasi thing, but please, get in. I will take you. So I got in his cab, we talked. I told him I needed to go past turntable, and he agreed to take me. So he picked up people along the way. We got to turntable, and he let everyone out. Then he proceeded to drive me where I needed to go. And as a result, of course, I gave him more than the 10 Dalasi because he was doing me a favor at that point. I explained to him that I was going to my new place and that I would be moving in soon, and the size of his car would be perfect because I had suitcases that I needed to move as well. So he said that would be great. He could use the extra money. He agreed to come back and get me that evening. However, I wasn't able to do the cash transaction because it was on a Friday, so I had to wait till Monday. But that night he did call me and say, listen, are you still interested in me moving you? And I had to tell him that I wasn't going to be moving. I needed to be scheduled to Monday. And I just thought that was so considerate of him to check on me and say, listen, do you still need my assistance? So I knew I would be using him when I moved. And long story short, he helped me move my items when it was time. When we got here, I started just calling him for when I needed to go places that were pretty far, and I knew I would be carrying a lot back home. He's become my regular driver now, and my neighbors met him. They call him on a regular basis. When I wasn't feeling well, he drove me to Mama Nasira and Dr. Joe. They use him now. He's just gotten so many jobs. We all call him so much that he stays busy. And he's so appreciative, and he says that I'm his sister, I'm his boss now, and he'll always come to me first, so I really appreciate that. But I know I didn't need a brother every day, and it's only fair that he be able to make as much money as he can working, right? So that was my other person, and of course, you all know I talk about my business partner all the time. I met him when I was out for a walk on the beach. I just decided to go in a different direction, and I said the first place I see with like an umbrella or someplace I could rest, I'm gonna stop. I was walking for like 2.5 miles or so. So I met him. He invited me over to have a juice, have a sit. I did. And while he was preparing my juice, he came out and offered me some sliced mango because it would be a minute while he was fixing my juice. And he didn't charge me. And I thought that was really interesting. And I just kind of watched, and I watched how proud this man was of his space and the time and attention that he took to setting his space up and getting his business flowing. And I just was like, this is interesting. And then we started talking about the juices he was making. We talked about how little tweaks we would do differently, what fruits we have available in the States. And the next thing you know, we had a partnership just based on our ideas. And so his life will never be the same once we get this restaurant going. He claims he can cook, so I'm going to be testing his skills, and we're going to see how we can partner with those things. So that's been a blessing. I went to the village, and I met a sister when I went for the naming ceremony. She was the relative of the brother that I was hanging out with, and we were all talking, and I was asking the ladies, what kind of work do they do? What do they enjoy doing? Do they have any hobbies? And she told me that she sewed and that she sews for people like in her community. And I said, really? Like, y'all know how I am with the sewing. Like, you see my pants, right? So don't tell me you sew. You got to be about it because I have so many designs and so many sketches, and I've done stuff by hand. You see me with like a skirt set on the beach. I made that. I have a romper that I made. Like, I've done things by hand, but I've never actually had a sewing machine. So during COVID, when it all started, I bought myself a sewing machine because I was convinced I was going to teach myself how to sew properly. So my mother taught me to sew by hand, so I can sew a hem, I can sew buttons, I can sew curtains. I could sew socks with a hole. I can, patch stuff up. But I wanted to really know how to sew to reinforce my clothes properly. So when I talked to her, she told me that she had a little like office, and I said, "Oh, can I see your office?" Because I just assumed she would have some samples of her work in her office, and it was kind of amazing. We walked to through the living room, through like a little hallway, and there was her office at the back of the house. Like, her family had actually set up a space for her to be able to sew, which I thought was the coolest thing. It was an old school sewing machine there. She had like one or two dresses hanging. She went and pulls out a dress that she was making for someone for like their birthday or something. And I looked at the quality of her work, the stitching, and I was like, oh yeah, I got some projects for you. She's like, what do you mean? I pulled out my phone. I showed her some of my sketches, showed her some of the things I was interested in making from African fabrics. And we just hit it off. And I remember going home, and later on in the week, she crossed my mind because I was like, yo, I need curtains. I need curtains done. I need pillows covered for all of my patio chairs. I need shower curtains. I need a bed skirt. Just all these things that I want done out of beautiful fabric. So we talked, and I asked her would she be interested in coming to meet with me, to talk to me, because and I asked her to bring measuring tape, and she came. The professional that she is, she came, and she brought her assistant with her, who happens to be from. She said he was from Senegal. So they came together. He helped her measure all the windows, all the pillows, all the pads that require covering. So I just thought that was so cool. And so we're going to be working together. Friday, we were supposed to go to Sarah Coons to pick out fabrics, but she had a family emergency, so we had to reschedule. But once again, once I talked to her and she left, I was talking to my neighbor saying, I'm going to Sarah Coons tomorrow. And she said, what are you going for? And I told her I'm going to buy fabric with the seamstress. She was like, oh, I would love to meet her. I need some things done. I said, of course. Once again, extra business for this sister. And I know once you all see her work, it's a wrap. Her business is going to take off, and that's going to be such a blessing for her and her two daughters. And her daughters were some of the children that I was playing with in the village, hanging out that day. You all probably saw that video. She was the one sitting in the chair, and when the children won at the end, I gave them a prize, which was just a few Dalasi, and she distributed the Dalasi to all the children to make sure everyone got something equally. So, that was a blessing. But I look forward to working with her. I'm very excited. I call her the boss, and she's like, no, you're the boss. I said, no, sweetie, I know how to stay in my lane. You're the boss. You're going to tell us where to go to get this fabric. We're going to follow your instruction. We may tell you what we want, but this is your thing. You're the professional here. One thing I'm clear about is staying in my lane. Yes, I love clothing. I love fashion. I have a great eye for fashion. I sketch, but I am not a seamstress. Like, I don't even know how to work a machine. I could put thread through a needle, though. Do that. Okay, so then it was that, sister. So then the next one was the bamboo guy. I was introduced to him from my business partner. And I just, like, when I first met him, I wasn't really feeling him. He kind of had an attitude like he deals with European women. and he knows all women, and just very arrogant, and he's going to tell me what I want, and that was like a little off-putting for me. So I had to check him. I had to let him know that I know what I want. I'm an artist. I have sketched out the designs that I want, and I'm very clear about what I want, even down to what color. And so I sent him a color swatch. We met up. He brought some pictures. I showed him the items that were along the lines of what I needed, and I sketched out my bed, and then I found beds that were similar to it online so he could have a better picture of what I was talking about. And I wanted my bed really high, which seemed to be like, uncomfortable for him because he wasn't used to that. But once they came and delivered my bed and were able to assemble it in my bedroom and see this bed in action, I think even his mind was blown. Like, wow, this is amazing and it's beautiful. He also did 2 clothes racks for me, and he said while the racks were outside, someone came by and tried to buy the racks because I had them done in a different color. People are not used to seeing, and he brought the 2 clothes racks in the bed, and the bed had to be assembled in my room because that would have been difficult to travel with. But I'm very happy with the work. It's very comfortable. It's better than I imagined. And I just had to get the fabric, the mosquito net and everything else to go over the bed. So working on that as well. And I'm working on that with seamstress. And I told the bamboo man, once he finishes my projects, because we have an island he's working on, 2 more couches, some benches for the shower, as well as some little shelves like shoe racks for outside so people can put their shoes up. And I'll probably have them do 2 more beds for the guest room. So, we're ready to get started. And once people see his work, I know they're going to go crazy. And again, he and I have developed this partnership now because he sees he's working with my vision. He's not questioning what I'm asking him to do. He's seeing how amazing these things are coming out. I even had to tell him to stop throwing away his scrap bamboo. I said, you should be making napkin rings and candle holders. And he was like, oh, like, yeah, we did do something with candles, but nothing like that. I'm like, yeah, got all this leftover bamboo. These are candle holders. These are napkin rings. And you could paint them different colors, different designs on them. Never, like, for me, y'all know when I cook, it's the same thing. I don't throw out the skins from my food. I boil it down and I make a tea or a juice from it later. I make a vinaigrette, I make a salad, whatever. So I convinced him that he should be keeping all of his scrap bamboo and finding something else to do with it, but he should not be throwing it out. Like, that's money you throwing away. I'm trying to think of who else. Just in the brief time I've been here that I've come in contact with, I talked to another friend of mine about starting a security agency. And I met a brother from Brooklyn, Coola's brother. He is a culinary chef, and he was telling me that he's not pleased with the food he's been tasting locally, and that there was one young lady across the road from his house whose food is amazing, amazing. He's so impressed with her. And he was talking about her food. He's talking about opening his restaurant, and I said to him, okay, so why don't you partner with her? And he was just like, what? I was like, if you opening up a business in Africa and you don't know African food, and this sister does, why wouldn't you open up a restaurant where the diaspora can come, as well as native Gambians can come and enjoy good African food, along with whatever foods or desserts you will be preparing? Why wouldn't you just start a partnership with the sister? Change her life, change her family's life. And if she want to keep her business going on the road, she can keep that going too. But this would be an opportunity that would surpass that, because this would be U.S. dollars coming to her, customers. And he was just like, wow, I didn't even think of that. I said, yeah, you supporting her is one thing. You changing her life is another. To partner with that sister. And that's what coming to the Gambia is about for me. It's not about talking about what company I have, what big businesses I'm running with, because that may not necessarily be everybody's thing. But what it is about is affecting people's lives, right? So him partnering with this sister is going to be something that is not really done, right? We need to think in terms of we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Wheel is here. Talent is here. Come and partner with people that you can trust, that are reliable. The benefit goes both ways, is reciprocated, and move forward. Like my business partner, I don't need to look for a juice person because he has that down. He has his own following, he has his own clients. But when I tell him to make juices the way I drink them, his mind is blown because he doesn't even think of putting those things together. So all I see us doing is improving the situation, right? So the plan is to partner with people, improve their lives, improve your life, and it'll go from there. So I've named at least, 5 or 6 different people that I've come into contact with and made suggestions. Oh, and I didn't even mention I was purchasing a fridge. Like I'm still trying to get this fridge here. And the brother that I met at the place in Saracunda, I did a little interview with him. And I told him, like, I'm purchasing this fridge from you. But it's not going to just be me who comes to you. Because when my subscribers, when the people who watch this video see what a good businessman you are, how you're able to offer something that they need just because you had an advertisement on my channel on YouTube, they're going to come to you as well. And I tell everybody that I purchase from, I'm going to let people know I bought it from you. I'm going to show your restaurant. I'm going to show your store. I'm going to show your business on my channel so that people know about you. This is how we change people's lives. It doesn't cost money to change someone's life. It doesn't take up all of your time to change someone's life. We have social media, we have contacts, we have ways that we can change people's lives with very little effort. All we have to do is be consistent, be genuine, and move with integrity. So I ask you, when you come to the continent, how will you change people's lives? Blessings.